Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Gearhart. You're watching a very special edition of KSBY News on Facebook Live. For the next 30 minutes or so, we will be talking in depth about what's happening in the Kristin Smart murder trial. We're calling this Beyond the Headlines because we want to take you beyond the daily reporting and dig deeper into some of the issues surrounding the trial. It is a complex case, more than 26 years in the making, and there is certainly a lot to talk about. So first, let's get you up to speed on what happened this week in court. This week, the prosecution wrapped up its case. The witness, forensic DNA analyst Angela Butler, took the stand on Monday and Tuesday. Butler tested soil samples taken from Ruben Flores' home. She claims the samples came back with weak positive results for blood, adding that she was not able to collect DNA from the samples. And yesterday and today, the defense brought in their own first witness. First up was David Carter, a professor who also looked at evidence collected from Ruben Flores' home. Attorney Robert Sanger asked if he saw any evidence that a body had been buried there. Dr. Carter said he saw no evidence in the photographs and that soil staining appeared most likely to be naturally occurring discoloration. Then Dr. Elizabeth Johnson, a forensic scientist in private practice, also took the stand. She talked about the test used to determine whether any blood was in the soil. Dr. Johnson told jurors that those tests were likely false positives, as blood would break down in soil after a short amount of time. And then last on the witness stand today was Brent Moon, Jennifer Hudson's former boyfriend. He confirmed the two were dating in 1996. Sanger asked if Hudson ever told him about that conversation she says that she had with Paul Flores at the skate ramp, in which Paul implied he knew where Smart's body was. He said he did not know Paul Flores, and Hudson never told him about the conversation. And of course, you can find more in-depth information about this trial on our website, ksby.com. And we'd like to invite you to share your comments and questions in the chat below. If we don't address your questions tonight, we will be compiling them for future episodes. And my guest tonight is Santa Barbara County District Attorney Investigator Ed Olsen. And good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You know, one of the things we just talked about was these expert witnesses testifying about evidence collected in the case, and much of that evidence we had already heard about because it was collected by investigators, you being one of them. And so as I was sitting in court watching this testimony unfold, I really just wanted to kind of understand what investigators do and what role they play both in the courtroom and outside the courtroom. So maybe just give us kind of a rundown of what that job entails.
Sure. So law enforcement investigators, it's exactly what we are. We're police officers. We're police officers that work for the district attorney's office. We are sworn police officers. We have the power of arrest. Most of us come from other local law enforcement agencies. We come with usually a pedigree or a history of investigative background. For instance, myself, I spent 28 years at Santa Barbara Police Department. 11 of those years were spent in investigations, both as an investigator or a detective supervisor, and a detective manager.
So many of the investigators that we've heard from so far, and we've heard from investigators on both sides, right? We haven't actually heard from the investigator on the defense side, but there is an investigator who works with the defense team as well. But the several investigators working with the prosecution side for the DA's office specifically and for the sheriff's department have testified they've all had a background, like you mentioned, in law enforcement before. Why make that switch? Maybe in your case and in general that you've noticed from some of your colleagues, why switch from being an investigative officer within a police department to a DA's office?
Well, I speaking globally, if I can, most police officers, police departments in the state of California and sheriff's departments involve themselves in what is called a career development or a career rotation. The idea there being is you promote or you advance into specialty positions within your agency, and those agencies have or those positions have a life cap to them. So, for instance, at Santa Barbara Police Department, if you wanted to become a detective, you apply for that position. It's a competitive position to apply for. Once you're appointed to that position is good for 5 years. After that 5 years, you go back to patrol. The mindset there being is that you're strengthening the abilities and the knowledge base, the institutional knowledge base of your patrol force, thereby making a stronger patrol force. The problem there is that it takes about 5 years to really develop a very strong level of professionalism and experience in that particular track, if you will. So the vast majority of my time was spent in major crimes, which is crimes against persons, homicide, sexual assault, kidnapping, robbery, things of that nature. So for me to build that level of expertise, right as you're hitting that expert level, it's time to rotate back to patrol. I was lucky enough to have several rotations through the Bureau, again, at different ranks, obviously as a detective, then as a supervisor, and then as a manager. I really enjoy investigations. I think I have a very good knack for it. And the opportunity to come to the DA's office, it is a full-time job where you do nothing but investigations. So I'm not expected to rotate back to a patrol sector or do some other job within the police department. I get to be a detective for the length of time that I spend here at the DA's office.
So, it's kind of interesting because one of the reasons really behind this show is that as a journalist, we are almost kind of a jack of all trades, right? So I might be covering a trial today, I might be covering a car accident tomorrow, and we sort of know a little bit about a lot of different things and we're learning on the job. Quite the opposite when it comes to investigations, it kind of has been my understanding watching this court trial. So again, the purpose behind this show is really for me to sit in the courtroom and say, hey, I see this going on and I bet other people would be interested to know that this is happening alongside. So beyond just the testimony that's happening in the case, which we kind of reviewed today, what's actually happening? What are the people doing? And I've noticed that the job is wide ranging. These investigators have done interviews, they've re-interviewed people. All of those interviews have been recorded. All of them are transcribed. Can you kind of give us a kind of a day-to-day, what actually happens when you get the case, when you're working through the case, what types of things are you doing?
But it might be helpful for your viewers if I give you an analogy of basically how a case enters the office and then how we get involved. So, for instance, you're at home, you come outside and you find that your vehicle's been broken into. You call the local law enforcement agency, whether it's a sheriff's department or a police department. They'll send out an officer or a deputy. They'll take the report. They'll do some level of street investigation, if you will. They'll take fingerprints, photographs, perhaps they'll talk to neighbors, try to develop some level of leads as to who might be responsible for this, check for surveillance videos, etc. At some point, let's say the patrol officer has done what they can, but there are other calls coming in that are requiring their presence at a different location. So they wrap up their case, they did as much as they can do on scene, and they leave. They then forward that report to a detective bureau. The detective bureau then takes that report, as much work has been done, and then they start taking it from there. Let's say those detectives now identify a series of auto thefts auto burglaries in a particular neighborhood, and they're able to identify a suspect. They then send that information, they make an arrest perhaps, they get a warrant, or perhaps the person's in the wind, hasn't been captured yet, but they've identified a suspect. That report is forwarded to the district attorney's office for filing. Once it comes to the district attorney's office, it'll be seen by a host of attorneys. A filing deputy district attorney gets the case, sees that it has the elements to be filed. They file the case, and then it goes to the desk of an attorney that will actually eventually, hopefully, try that case in court. Once the attorney knows that that court date is coming due, they then go through their case with a fine-tooth comb, and they start realizing there were a few things that may not have been done or need to be cleaned up, or maybe the time between the crime and the day that the case is finally made it into court is so long, there's so much time in between, that they want to reach out to the victims and the witnesses to ensure that they're capable of testifying to their memory to their best abilities. So they then call me. I'm a commander at the DA's office. They come into a queue, if you will. I see the report come in, and the attorney will tell me what exactly is being requested. I then will pick one of the number of investigators that fall under my command, and then it gets assigned to them. They will then take that request, that service request from the attorney, and then implement their detective skills. It might be going out and collecting photographs. It might be seeing if there's additional surveillance video. It might be that there's a witness in one case that was contacted, but turns out that witness saw other crimes of the same crime spree, but weren't interviewed on those particular events. So then we're going to re-interview that person to get those pieces of information and make a whole picture, if you will. Our goal really is to ensure that the attorneys are very confident that they're going to have what they need when they walk into the courtroom to present their case.
So a couple of things are, jumping out at me right here just from that description because I've seen this all kind of playing out in the courtroom. Number one, in terms of the attorneys being prepared, is it a kind of a two-way street? Are you letting the attorneys know what else they might need in addition to the attorneys knowing what you might need? And then I see a lot of help. I mean, those investigators are sitting right there behind the attorneys, quite literally handing them paperwork, handing them reports. So how much of a team effort is this?
So you bring up a really good question. I'll answer the question as asked, but then I'll add on. So the case that you're covering and watching, you have the best attorneys and the best investigators working that case. These are the people with the highest level of experience in these type of cases. They're very familiar with the needs that particular case is going to require. You don't have a rookie investigator or a rookie attorney working those particular cases. An attorney is allowed to have a investigating officer sit next to them in the courtroom. Now, usually that's the officer or detective from the law enforcement agency that is sitting next to the attorney. However, in this particular case, it's 26 years old. Those people that worked that case originally are probably long since retired. So they now are relying on their investigative staff to take over that role as the investigating officer. And they are exactly that. We are a support for the attorney. They could be giving them, as they're answering or asking questions, as they're asking a witness questions, the response might be such that the attorney is thinking of the next question to ask, but might not have caught some nuance that the detective that's very intimate with the details of the case, specifically maybe even the details of that witness's interview, could write down a note and then hand that to the attorney so that they can then ask those questions. We often are asked to run out to go get something. Sometimes it's a computer cord to access the court's computer system, batteries. It runs the gamut. Whatever they need, we're there for support.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and that's been happening all the time. And I was joking with you earlier, even on the phone, that like sometimes they're getting batteries for the microphones, that are running out. But also, you're right. I mean, this case is 26 years old, and so we've heard from the original investigators. Honest, they've been called to the stand to testify as well. But the current investigators are ones who, I guess, have had to like comb through every one of those interviews, and in most of the cases have re-interviewed. Then what's also caught my attention is that all of that is subject, of course, to cross-examination, and so all of that information is also shared with the defense team ahead of time, right? So every time you're doing an interview, you're having to notify the attorney. I mean, you tell me, like, what are you having to do?
Hit me with that question one more time.
So like honestly, during cross-examination, all of these interviews seem to be transcribed. They seem to be provided to the defense attorneys ahead of time. I mean, you obviously must be preparing for that as you're doing those interviews, knowing that information is getting turned over, right? You're not even allowed to talk to a witness necessarily without having a recording of that conversation, right?
Correct. We, as a police officer, when you go through the police academy, you're taught the importance of developing probable cause. That's the statute upon which you can take action for a violation of crime. Probable cause, however, is not the threshold that jurors are expected to use when developing a thought of guilt or innocence in the case that they're monitoring. They have a set of instructions called the California jury instructions. So it's important to understand that when you transfer from a law enforcement agency into the DA's office, the threshold for us is no longer to achieve probable cause, it's to achieve beyond a reasonable doubt. And one of the reasons why so many investigators are sought from local law enforcement agencies that have built an expertise is the more time you spend in a detective unit, you recognize what it's going to take to make a successful case, to work closer and more often with the attorneys as they're getting into court. And you realize, wow, if I had asked questions that I knew were going to be the threshold upon which the jurors need to make their decision, I would have maybe asked some different questions. So it's not uncommon that as a seasoned law enforcement professional interviewing witnesses and suspects, that you actually review the California jury instructions before you enter the room for an interrogation. So you not only are establishing the probable cause, but you're going the extra step to get the information in the California jury instructions that the jurors will be expected to say that those elements were in fact established, and I can render an opinion as to whether they are guilty or innocent.
Yeah, I've been noticing that a lot. And honestly, the follow-up questions come, how were you prepared? Did you meet with this, of the actual witnesses, did you meet with certain investigators? What did you talk about during those meetings? Did they talk to you about your future testimony? So what sorts of instruction or training do you have in terms of dealing with those future questions that are coming to the witnesses, right?
Sure. Well, we want to make sure that their memory is intact. And what the defense is trying to do is they want to see, have we coached them in a way to answer questions in a specific manner? This is why we tape the interviews. What we typically do, what we most often do, is we go into those interviews with their original statements. We have them read that. And then the question is something along the lines of, having read the report, is this commensurate with the memory you have today that you had at the time you made the report? And then that starts a conversation. So here we are, we're not actually coaching or trying to change their testimony or influence their memory. We simply want to make sure that that witness is well prepared to be able to testify. The best way to do that is to provide them with the information that they actually provided 26 years ago in the case.
Yeah. So let me kind of go over some stuff that happened today and part of this story that I was working on today. And then I know you can't comment on this particular case. You're not working on the case. We're not allowed to talk to the people who are directly involved because of a gag order. But really, this is about how courts work, right, for our viewers. So I want to run down what happened today. So new details were actually released in the Kristin Smart murder case, and they've been sort of released over time as a result of decisions by the attorney. And one of the items that was released was this arrest report, which revealed some details about potential earlier attorneys working on a plea deal. So I read through those documents today and earlier as well, and then that including that potential offer to reveal where Kristin's body was located. And this is what I found in those documents. Monterey Superior Court Judge Jennifer O'Keefe has been releasing documents that were previously sealed in the case against Paul and Ruben Flores. One of the most recent documents is the probable cause arrest warrant for Ruben Flores. In the declaration, detectives outline the case against Paul and why they think Ruben helped cover up Paul's involvement. Much of the evidence has come out in court, but in order to make their case for the arrest of Ruben as an accessory, they had to include evidence against the main suspect, his son Paul, and some of what's in the document jurors have not been allowed to hear. The document reveals that in October of 2019, San Luis Obispo County District Attorney Dan Dow emailed Sheriff Ian Parkinson a series of electronic notes kept by former DA Gerald Shea. One of those notes was titled Smart 5710. An entry in that note quoted Paul's former attorney Mel De La Motte as stating, "I just want to say one thing, and I shouldn't even be saying this, but if you'll come to me with an offer of involuntary with only one condition, and that is that he'll take law enforcement to the body, then I can make that deal happen." The sworn declaration of probable cause prepared by Sheriff Investigator Clint Cole says that the Smart family attorney James Murphy recalls meetings with De La Motte about possible plea deals. The document goes on to say that based on the dialogue with De La Motte, Murphy has absolutely no doubt that Flores knows the circumstances of Smart's death and the location of her body. The document also reveals several other details so far not allowed in court, including multiple files found on electronic devices during a search of Paul's home in February of 2020, depicting what the warrant states as Paul Flores having sex with what appeared to be intoxicated women and pornographic images of children. The document says the LAPD has opened investigations involving potential rape victims that have come forward, some of whom are apparently depicted in the video files. The affidavit says in July of 2011, Paul was linked by DNA to one of those victims. So again, no, you can't comment on this case, and really the part of this is for the attorneys, right, and the justice's side, but from an investigative perspective, and that's really why I wanted to talk to you about some of these issues, is that probable cause affidavit was prepared by one of the investigators, right, who went through all of this stuff to sort of lay out why a judge should issue an arrest warrant for Ruben Flores, the father, right? And so there's all of this document, there's all of this evidence, all of this stuff that isn't even allowed in court for reasons that we've talked to attorneys about. We can talk to attorneys in the future. But give me your perspective in some of these mountains of evidence that exists in cases that you're sort of keeping track of that may or may not ever show up in court or in front of a jury.
Well, first of all, let me absolutely make it clear I have no involvement with the Smart case, and I don't want to comment to the case at all. But I can talk about some cases that I've been involved with, both as a law enforcement officer with Santa Barbara Police Department and with the DA's office. The trial strategy is obviously developed by the attorney. And when we're talking about cases of this magnitude, again, you're talking about the senior deputy district attorneys or possibly even a chief trial deputy. These are the people with the highest level of experience in working major violent felony crimes. So there could be a matter of reasons why cases go a certain direction. I worked a case recently with a number of victims and a number of suspects, and there are some victims that are still unaccounted for. And the crime against the charges against the suspect were so great that this person was going to ultimately serve multiple life sentences. So justice would be served. The problem is that there's a family that wants to know that they can have closure and that their loved one has been located and found so that they can be properly interned and mourned over by their family. So this is where trial strategy comes up. This is where dialogue starts to occur between the attorneys and the investigators as to what could we do? What are the options? If I was to make this offer, what information could we find to help bolster the case to ensure that we're going to get these life sentences so that we can then theoretically come up with an offer elsewhere? Again, the offer has to be somewhat enticing to the defendant, because if they're just facing simply life in prison, why offer anything up unless their consciousness of guilt is so overwhelming that they want to rid themselves of that and help their family out. Sometimes that happens. But you can see that when you get into a case like this, they are usually old. They're not necessarily timely. You have to identify people move, especially in the Central Coast, where you have so many people, especially in the agricultural business, that move not just from one agricultural business to another, but to other agricultural sites throughout California. They have certain specialties, certain expertise that are valued elsewhere, and they move around quite often. And they don't necessarily have the same footprint on social media or with typical investigative techniques that we find people. So they can be very difficult to find. And then, of course, it involves a lot of man hours and sweat equity to try to track some of these people down, contacting previous employers, families, et cetera. All of these things take time, effort. Unfortunately, the wheels of justice often grind slowly. It is the crux of wanting to be thorough but timely, and those do not necessarily mesh well. And it makes it difficult because there is a certain pressure that's placed on the investigators. They want to get this done. And sometimes there's a clock ticking where the attorneys need this done sooner than later.
I've made this point before and asked this question to some of the other guests before, but to me, this is really about people, right? It's about a job, and it's about people. And what makes an investigator, or what makes you personally, if you want to answer it that way, tick, in the sense that, I watch this it's almost in a sense like watching, I don't want to diminish it, but it's almost like watching a sporting event or something. It's a contest, it's a game, but the stakes are so high, right? Because families are involved, because people are involved. And so how do you not take that personally, or how do you deal with, that this job that you're doing is so important?
Well, perhaps I answer this personally by how I got into the job. I was told by my grandfather at a very early age that I would never find a greater satisfaction or a greater pride than when I'm in the service of others. And I certainly didn't know what he meant at the time. And I happened to fall into this job quite actually by accident. and I felt I had a knack for it. I enjoy working with people. I felt that I could represent my community well. And then I found I had a knack for investigating crimes and solving crimes. And I was appointed into the detective bureau working property crimes. And my boss, after just a short period of time, said, "Your talents are wasted finding people's VCRs," to date me. But he says, we got to get you into major crimes. This is where you're going to be needed. And so he opened up a couple of doors for me. And when you start working cases where our most vulnerable victims, crime affects people in profound ways. And it just doesn't affect the victim. It affects entire families and often communities. And when you can offer some level of resolution and that ensure justice is served, and you see the relief, and you see the fact that the family can now start putting pieces together to find resolution in their own lives, that's when my grandfather's statement to me hit. I didn't recognize it until that moment. Me personally, I remember we were working a case, my partner and I, very young, attractive collegiate girl, suspect in an attempt to kill her, slashed her face with a straight razor. I remember we found that suspect, we arrested him. The case was an amazing set of work by a number of different entities, including bloodhounds that led us to the suspect. I could go on and on. I could do an 8-hour class just on this issue. But I remember my partner said, "You got to go tell the victim and her family. You got to get this word to them. I don't want them hearing this on the news." So I ran, got in my car, got to the hospital, made my way into her room, recovery room, and I was unprepared. I saw her at the scene. I saw photographs from the crime scene. I know how ugly it was, but it wasn't until I walked into her room and I saw her entire head was bandaged with one eye exposed to be able to see. And her mom was sitting right next to her in the bed. And I walked in and I said, "We got him. We got the suspect." And you could see one tear roll down this young lady's face. And the mother got out of the chair, hugged her daughter. And it was that second that I recognized we were starting to heal that family. That was the beginning of their healing. So it is intoxicating. It is something that causes you to want to be involved in the process of finding justice, but it comes at a cost. After 32 years in the job, I've had to seek therapy. I'm not ashamed to say that. I think more people should. My wife, my family, my children deserve the best me I can be, and I shouldn't be diagnosing myself. I shouldn't be diagnosing whether I'm right in the head, because when you constantly involve yourself in the pain that others are suffering and that the pressure that's placed upon you to try to resolve those issues, it does take a toll. And as a result, here I am 32 years into it. I still very much enjoy it. I'm still very much passionate about it. It's just hard to walk away from. So when you asked earlier, what draws somebody to this particular job, I get to do something I'm good at, that I enjoy doing full time, where I don't have to. I think we talked earlier where I said we're not really first responders anymore. We're second responders. The thing that happened out in the field, law enforcement's responded. All of that material comes to us well after that's happened, but we're still in the fight to make those things happen. And another point I want to make is, as a detective, when you work closely with attorneys, there's a whole new level of a chess game that's played in the courtroom that is very intriguing and enticing. And I know you, monitoring the Smart case, are probably intrigued with the things that occur in the courtroom. When you have a vested interest and you've put work, effort, and part of your soul into the investigation, it's hard not to get really very strongly vested in that case. So that the chess game inside the courtroom is also very intoxicating and hard to walk away from.
And actually that's what we've talked about here at the station, when we were talking about, and this wasn't my idea, this was another one of our assistant news director's ideas to actually do this show, but I was watching in the court and I literally said, it's like watching a chess game, and what I want to do is kind of highlight some of the other players besides the ones that we typically see, which are the attorneys and the judges. So we're out of time, but I very much appreciate your time, and I appreciate your perspective and your explanations of exactly what goes into this job. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you want to have another session, if other questions come up or something, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'd be happy to help out. I think education is a big part of what we should be doing. I don't think we do it well enough. So any opportunity we get to explain who we are, what we do, what our qualifications are, we're more than happy to do that. I know our agency will stand behind that. So thank you very much for giving me the time. I hope I've been helpful.
You bet. Absolutely. Thank you. And we want to thank our viewers as well for joining us for this special broadcast. And thanks again to my guest, Ed Olsen. We do plan to bring you these Facebook Live shows throughout the rest of the trial. So we hope that you will join us again next time. And remember, make sure you add any questions that you may have into the comments. And if we didn't cover one of your questions tonight, we will certainly be compiling them for future episodes as well. You can also find out all of our coverage of this case on our website, ksby.com. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.